Imagine this. A man lifts a golden cup to his lips under a flickering torchlight. The liquid swirls like molten amber. He drinks, and something ancient stirs not just in his body, but in his soul. For centuries, alcohol has been romanticized, celebrated in art, ritual, and rebellion. It promises freedom, ecstasy, and escape. But beneath its sweet deception lies a shadow few dare to confront, a metaphysical truth that has echoed through ancient Sufi poetry, hidden alchemical manuscripts, and forbidden religious warnings. In Arabic, the word is Al-Kuhul, not just a substance, but a root word for ghouls, possession, and the veil between the worlds. The same root is used for Ghoul, the black powder once used by mystics to shield the eyes from unseen forces. And yet Al-Kuhul, in its fluid form, became something else entirely. A liquid spell, a gateway, a silent thief of light. This is not a sermon, this is a revelation, one that transcends dogma and enters the mystical battlefield of the soul. Because the question is not just, is alcohol bad? The real question, the one that haunts ancient initiates is, what if every drop is a spell, a silent contract, one that dims the divine spark within you, one sip at a time, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's begin. To truly understand the spiritual consequences of alcohol, we must return not to modern science, but to the forgotten roots of language, sorcery, and ancient consciousness. The word alcohol is not European in origin. It is Arabic al-Kuhul, el-Kahal. But this word originally had little to do with drinking. It referred instead to a fine black powder used as kohl to protect the eyes. But in ancient esoteric circles, alcohol had a much deeper meaning. It was considered a subtle, invisible essence extracted by distillation, something that draws out the spirit from the body, something that could either preserve the sacred or corrupt it. Alchemists knew this. In the cryptic diagrams of the Islamic alchemist Jabir ibn Hayyan, alcohol was described not simply as a tool, but as a force. It was said to separate the soul from the body, gently or violently. The European alchemists, inheriting this knowledge, called distilled alcohol spirits. But why? What spirits are we summoning? Let that word echo for a moment. Spirits. It's not poetic coincidence. In medieval magical texts from the Zohar to the Picatrix, distilled substances were used in rituals of invocation. Potions, brews, elixirs, designed to open portals, thin the veil, or invite other entities into a receptive vessel. And what is a human being? Intoxicated. A vessel, open, porous, weak in will, strong in impulse, a perfect host. The mystics feared this state, not because they were puritanical, but because they understood the architecture of the soul. They knew the body is a temple, and the mind a gate, and anything that dissolves the boundary between awareness and impulse, between intention and possession, is not a medicine, but a poison to the light body. In ancient Sufi poetry, intoxication had two faces. One was divine drunkenness, metaphor for ecstatic union with the beloved, the divine intoxication that comes from divine remembrance. But the other face was false intoxication, ghafla, or heedlessness, a fog cast over the soul, pulling one deeper into forgetfulness, into unconsciousness, into the grip of shadow entities that feed on human despair. And so the mystics warned, alcohol is not merely fermented fruit, it is spiritual fermentation. It brews forgetfulness. It separates you not only from sobriety, but from your own soul. To drink without awareness is to step blindly into a ritual you do not understand, a ritual that opens doors you may not know how to close. And every civilization that forgot this, from Babylon to Rome, crumbled under the weight of its own intoxication. The warning was never about morality. It was always about energetic sovereignty. And if alcohol is truly a spell, then its first effect is amnesia. The soul forgets what it came here to do, and the body, once radiant, begins to decay not from the outside, but from the inside out. There is a war happening, but it is not fought with swords, armies, or bullets. It is a war for consciousness. And like all masterful wars, the most dangerous weapon is the one that looks harmless, pleasurable, social, beautiful, even. That weapon is alcohol. Let's ask a dangerous question. Why is alcohol the only drug you are shamed for not taking? Why is the decision to abstain met with suspicion, mockery, or exclusion, while the act of numbing yourself is normalized, even glorified? Because alcohol doesn't just suppress the nervous system, it suppresses awakening. When you drink, you are not merely relaxing, you are entering a state of cognitive fragmentation. The soul's alignment with the body begins to slip, the aura weakens, the protective energetic shell, your light body, becomes thin, perforated. Why would something so spiritually corrosive be so culturally protected? Because a numbed society is a controllable society. This is the true war on consciousness. To celebrate behaviors that erode self-awareness. To romanticize the poisons that dim the third eye. To make people proud of walking away from their own divinity. It's not just alcohol. It's a pattern. Fast food is cheap. Meditation is weird. Numbing your trauma is easy. Healing it is too much work. We are being trained to choose decay over evolution with a smile. But alcohol plays a unique role. In the Hermetic tradition, every human being is seen as a bridge between heaven and earth, a channel for divine intelligence to operate in the material world. To become intoxicated is to sever that bridge, even temporarily. And repetition makes it permanent. Imagine the soul as a clear, humming crystal. Alcohol introduces a fog, a haze of distortion. Not only are your thoughts slower, but your energetic field becomes vulnerable to hijack. This is why, in so many indigenous traditions, alcohol was considered sacredly dangerous, something to be handled only by trained shamans, or never at all, because they knew what modern culture forgets. A person who cannot stay present cannot guard their soul, and when you lose the capacity to guard your soul, something else will inhabit it. In ancient lore, this was called invitation by unconsciousness. Not demonic possession in the Hollywood sense, but subtle influence. Whispers, impulses, behaviors that feel like yours, but aren't. And each hangover is not just biological. It is the soul's way of saying, you abandoned me. So what if the real cost of drinking isn't the body? What if it's your mission, your light, your access to the divine intelligence that brought you here? Because in a world built on distraction, staying awake is the ultimate rebellion. And alcohol, sweet, celebrated, and seductive, may just be the spell that keeps the ancient war alive within you. To uncover the spiritual consequences of alcohol, we must listen to voices from the Pastancient mystics who walked the path of inner illumination. Their warnings, encoded in poetry, ritual, and secret knowledge, reveal a truth often lost in the noise of modern indulgence. In the heart of Sufism, intoxication is a paradox. The mystics speak of divine drunkenness, a sacred ecstasy born from union with the beloved, a spiritual intoxication of the soul that transcends physical senses. This is the rapture of the awakened heart, burning with divine love. But this is not the drunkenness of the cup. It is the opposite. Sufi poets like Rumi and Hafiz often contrasted this divine state with nafs al-khama, the self-intoxication born from attachment, desire, and heedlessness. They warned that physical alcohol clouds the heart, distorts perception, and leads the soul into forgetfulness, a state called ghafla. The veil of forgetfulness is no mere metaphor. It is a spiritual prison. Likewise, the Hermetic tradition, with roots deep in ancient Egypt and Greece, teaches that the soul is a luminous spark, trapped in matter, destined to awaken and ascend. The Hermetic alchemists viewed intoxication as a form of energetic corrosion, dissolving the subtle body and disrupting the delicate balance of mind, spirit, and body. In the Emerald Tablet, Hermes Trismegistus cryptically speaks of the separation of the subtle from the gross as the path to transformation. But alcohol, the Hermetic masters warned, is a false separation that steals the soul's clarity and leaves the initiate vulnerable to dark forces lurking beyond the veil. Even in the Quran, the spiritual effects of alcohol are revealed not just as physical harms, but as obstructions to divine remembrance and clarity of heart. The verses describe intoxicants as tools that sow discord and distract the believer from their sacred purpose. The mystics understood that the body is more than flesh. It is a temple of consciousness, a microcosm of the universe. When intoxicated, this temple becomes a threshold open not just to divine light but to shadowy influences seeking entry. Across these traditions, a consistent warning emerges. To drink is to risk possession by forces unseen. Not possession as horror stories depict, but a quiet erosion of free will, intuition, and spiritual resilience. A subtle takeover where the soul's voice is muffled beneath the noise of intoxication. Yet, this knowledge is hidden beneath layers of cultural myths and euphemisms. Alcohol becomes a social lubricant, a harmless pleasure, a release from suffering. But for the soul that remembers who senses the sacred geometry of life's design, each drink is a choice. A choice to weaken the luminous thread connecting you to your divine origin. Beyond the physical body lies the soul field, an intricate web of energy, light, and consciousness that shapes who we truly are. It is the unseen blueprint of our existence, the silent architecture of our spirit. Alcohol, in this sacred context, is not merely a drink. It is a disruption. Like a dark storm tearing through a delicate tapestry, it fractures the soul field, distorting the harmonious vibrations that keep the spirit anchored and vibrant. Every sip sets off ripples of imbalance. The energy centers, the chakras begin to spin erratically, breaking the flow of vital life force. The third eye, the seat of inner vision and wisdom, dims beneath the fog of intoxication. The heart chakra, once open and radiant, constricts in response to the chemical invasion. But it's not just an energetic shift. Alcohol lowers the frequency of the entire being, pulling it downward toward inertia, heaviness, and forgetfulness. The light body, the subtle electromagnetic aura surrounding us becomes patchy, weakened, and vulnerable to external influences. This vulnerability is no abstract concept. It manifests in our emotional states. The sudden swings from euphoria to despair, the loss of control, the clouded judgment, and the ease with which negativity can latch onto a fragile, intoxicated soul. Spiritually, this means one can be occupied without knowing it. Entities aligned with lower vibration energetic parasites, shadow spirits, or negative thought forms find easier entry through the weakened energetic gateways. This is why repeated intoxication can feel like a slow siphoning of inner light. Ancient shamans and mystics recognized alcohol as a double-edged sword. While it could be used in rare, sacred rituals to alter consciousness, uncontrolled use was a spiritual poison that erodes the soul's memory and potency. Modern energy healers often observe that those struggling with alcohol have energy blockages that form like knots in their soul fabric. These knots hinder spiritual growth and manifest as anxiety, depression, or chronic fatigue. In truth, the deeper damage is often invisible but profound. The body may recover, but the soul's resonance can remain dimmed for years, sometimes decades. The effects echo through lifetimes, creating karmic imprints that must be healed through conscious work. Yet there is hope. The energetic field is not fixed. It is fluid and responsive. With intention, discipline, and spiritual practices such as meditation, breathwork, and energy healing, the soul field can be restored, even after years of neglect. The path back to clarity demands courage to face the shadow within, to reclaim sovereignty over one's energy, and to honor the sacred temple of the body and spirit. Because, in the end, every drop of alcohol is a choice. A choice that either dims or ignites the flame of your true self. The journey back from the haze of intoxication is a sacred pilgrimage, a reclaiming of the soul's lost light. It is not easy, but it is necessary. For within every step of healing lies the power to restore the luminous thread that connects you to the divine. The first step is awareness, the moment you realize that alcohol is not just a habit, but a barrier. This awakening is the spark that ignites transformation. It is the soul's whisper saying, "I deserve to be whole. I deserve to be free." Healing begins with gentleness. The body and soul that have been numbed require patience, not punishment. Harsh judgment only deepens the fractures. Instead, cultivate a compassionate relationship with yourself. Acknowledge the pain, the cravings, and the fear without resistance. Next is cleansing, not just physical, but energetic. Drink pure water, nourish your body with whole foods, and spend time in nature to absorb Earth's grounding energy. Simultaneously, adopt spiritual practices that rebuild your inner fortress. Meditation to quiet the mind, breathwork to circulate vital energy, and prayer or intention setting to invite divine light. One of the most profound tools is energy healing, whether through Reiki, chakra balancing, or sound therapy. These modalities help untangle the knots left by years of intoxication, restoring flow and vibrancy to the soul field. But true reclamation requires community, finding those who walk the path of sobriety and spiritual growth. Isolation feeds the shadow. Connection feeds the light. Share your journey, your struggles, and your victories with trusted companions. Equally vital is shadow work, the deep dive into the hidden parts of yourself that crave escape through alcohol. What wounds lie beneath? What fears? What unmet needs? Facing these shadows with courage transforms them from chains into keys. Finally, integrate ritual and sacred symbolism to anchor your new reality. Create a personal altar. Light candles. Use symbols that resonate with your spiritual path. Perhaps the radiant cross of DNA as a symbol of your rebirth and divine design. These acts ground your transformation in the physical world and honor your soul's resilience. Remember, healing is not linear. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, and temptations, but each return to the path strengthens your light. By choosing sobriety, you reclaim the sovereignty of your consciousness. You reweave the fabric of your soul, making it radiant, strong, and whole once more. In this reclamation lies the true victory, not over alcohol alone, but over the forces that seek to keep you asleep. Because when your soul shines fully awake, you are no longer a passive player in the ancient war on consciousness. You are a warrior of light, a beacon in the darkness. Stepping into sobriety is like emerging from a dense fog into the golden light of dawn. The transformation is profound, far beyond the physical absence of alcohol. It touches the very core of your being. When the soul's frequencies clear, hidden gifts begin to stir. These are not mere fantasies, but timeless truths recorded in every mystical tradition. The awakening of intuition, heightened perception, and an unshakable clarity of purpose. The third eye, once clouded, now opens like a lotus blossom, revealing visions that were always there, just obscured by the haze of intoxication. You start to see patterns in life, understand deeper truths, and feel the presence of the divine in everyday moments. This clarity breeds a new kind of wisdom, a wisdom born not from books, but from direct experience and inner knowing. It is a spiritual insight that guides decisions, nurtures compassion, and sharpens your ability to discern truth from illusion. Sobriety also unlocks the power of presence. Without the numbing veil of alcohol, you become fully alive in the present moment. Each breath, each sensation, each encounter becomes vivid and meaningful. This is the gateway to genuine joy, peace, and connection. Many mystics describe this state as the kingdom of heaven, within a realm where the soul dances freely, unburdened by shadow or distraction. It is here that spiritual gifts flourish. The gift of healing, where your energy radiates comfort and restoration to others. The gift of empathy, enabling deeper bonds and understanding. The gift of creativity, allowing your unique voice to shine in art, music, and expression. Beyond personal transformation, sobriety sharpens your spiritual armor. You become more resistant to negative energies, psychic attacks, and the subtle traps of illusion. Your soul's light becomes a beacon, guiding others out of darkness. But these rewards come with responsibility. Sobriety demands vigilance, maintaining your boundaries, continuing your spiritual practices, and remaining humble before the mysteries of life. The path is not about perfection, but presence. It's about choosing, moment by moment, to nurture your sacred self. In this choice lies liberation. The liberation to live fully awake, deeply connected, and endlessly radiant. Because when the veil of intoxication lifts, what remains is the purest truth. You are light. You are love. You are an eternal spark of the divine. As we reach the culmination of this journey, a profound truth emerges that ancient sages whispered in sacred texts and mystical circles across time. True freedom is found not in escape, but in awakening. Choosing to transcend alcohol is more than abstaining from a substance. It is a radical act of reclaiming your divine birthright, living as a clear vessel for light, wisdom, and purpose. This clarity is a gift, and with every gift comes responsibility. The responsibility to honor your body as a temple, your mind as a sacred garden, and your spirit as an eternal flame. To walk the world with eyes wide open, to speak with intention, and to love with fierce authenticity. Living with sacred clarity means embracing discomfort, for the path of awakening is often lonely and challenging. The illusions that once dulled your senses may rise in resistance, tempting you back into old habits. But each moment of choice strengthens your soul's resilience. You become a guardian not only of your own light, but a beacon for others still wandering in shadow. Your transformation ripples outward, igniting hope and possibility. Purpose blossoms naturally from this state. No longer shackled by fog or numbness, you discover your unique role in the grand tapestry of existence. Whether healer, artist, teacher, or seeker, your contributions flow from a wellspring of authenticity. Remember, the journey never truly ends. It is an unfolding spiral each layer of clarity, revealing deeper mysteries and higher potentials. In this sacred dance between light and shadow, you find your true self whole, radiant, and free. So stand tall in this newfound sovereignty. Let the light within blaze boldly, undiminished by fear or doubt. Because the greatest truth of all is this: you were born to shine fully awake, fully alive, and infinitely free.